Hey there, how's it going? I'm Edwin Finch, and welcome to CloudPebble and GitHub Setup. Alright, let's get started. So for our first site, we're going to go to cloudpebble.net. This is our IDE, or Integrated Development Environment. This is where we will be writing our Pebble apps and doing most of our work. So if you could hop on this site with me, I'll run you through the whole process of getting set up. So here we have a sign in button. It gives you a few options. We're going to look on the left side here. Already have a Pebble account. You may already be set up with your Pebble account. This is done when you first set up your Pebble. You enter in your email address, create a password, all that jazz. So you can go here if you already have a Pebble account and simply sign in. Fast forward the video a little bit because we're going to go through the creation of a Pebble account just for those who don't have any setup or any experience with Pebble at all. So pretty basic setup form. We're going to go through the steps here. I have one of my old emails. Just a basic password. We're going to sign up. And it puts us right there. Once you create an account with CloudPebble or with Pebble, it automatically redirects you to CloudPebble. So now that we're signed in and set up, we have our main interface here. So you can see that we don't have any projects yet, but it's easy to create one. But before we do that, I'm just going to take you through the settings. So here in settings, if you have any programming experience, then you'll know what these are and you'll know how to use them. You can change them as you wish. I recommend setting tab width to 4. It just gives you nice spacing. That's what I usually do, but it's your choice. Indents. This is a really edgy topic in the programming community. I'm going to have to go with tabs on this one. The theme, you can mess around with this if you'd like. All really cool themes. I like the CloudPebble one. Sublime Text is also a pretty good one. Keybinds, we'll just leave this for now. Auto type or auto completion, we're going to leave as you type. That's really handy. We're going to come, pardon me, we're going to come back to this. This is GitHub integration, so you can upload your source code to basically the cloud. We will complete that later on in this tutorial. For now, let's go back to projects. The import button here is for importing from a file or from GitHub. We can use this later, but for now, we're going to create a new one. We are going to be using the C SDK. We are going to be using SDK 3. And for now, we're going to use a minimal template. Okay? If you want to be adventurous, you can click one of the other templates, but I'd recommend just going with minimal. So here we have the project name. We're just going to name this Setup Tutorial. We're going to click Create. The next part of this tutorial is explaining how the CloudPebble interface works. If you only want to set up accounts, skip to the time on screen now, and you do not have to watch the explanation on the CloudPebble interface. It's going to do all the work for us, and here we are in our main interface. So, this is actually pretty simple. You have all of your stuff well set up for you, and you're good to go to write code. So, first what we're going to do is click our source file main.c over here. Don't worry about all this code, okay? If you don't understand it at all, don't be afraid. We're going to cover all of it in a later tutorial. For now, you can just leave it as it is now. And we are going to go through just the interface of CloudPebble, okay? We're not going to actually do any coding today. So we're going to go to settings first, and we can see here that we have a ton of interesting settings for our Pebble app, most of which we're going to cover in a later tutorial. For now, I'll just quickly run you through it. We have the SDK version, which we already covered. This is for the different watches. So app lights like black and white. Basalt is color watches like Pebble Time. It's not the Pebble Time 2, that's a later platform. Chalk is Pebble Time Round. You can look all of these up online It's really cool. They're naming all of their platforms in alphabetical order, sort of like Android. The app kind, we're going to stick with watch app for now. If you want to build a watch face which displays the time, you can change it to that and do as you wish. The app visibility, we're going to ignore this for now. These names, you can just basically keep them the same. The company name, so you can change this to your name or whatever, and it will display under the name of the watch face in the phone app. The menu image is for apps, so if we, and watch faces as well. So when we're browsing, for example, on App Light, or if we're browsing the watch faces folder on our watch, then we can see a little icon that's 28 by 28. The version, this is the version of the app. You're going to want to probably start with something low like 0.1 as you're developing, build it up. So if you distribute betas, it goes like that. And when you upgrade apps on the App Store, this also has to be incremented so that the App Store can distinguish between versions. The UUID, this is just a unique identifier. This is specific to your app. Nobody else will ever have this unless they copy paste yours. Don't worry about this. You don't ever have to touch this unless you want to generate a new one for some reason. We can ignore this for now. Ignore the app keys. This is for a later tutorial when we mess with JavaScript. And these as well are also in a later tutorial. They're pretty self-explanatory for now, but you don't have to worry about them for this tutorial. So the timeline we're not going to cover in this tutorial, but what this does is if you are using operating system 3.0 or higher, you can see items in your timeline, and here you can test them out. Compilation, we're going to come back to this in a second. Dependencies, this is for adding packages that people have created to your Pebble project. So if somebody's created like, an inverter layer that inverts the colors for a color watch, then you can add it here. Whatever other packages are available, this is pretty handy. GitHub, we're going to come back to that in 1 second. So here in the compilation menu, this is where the fun begins. So our code here should compile already. It shouldn't generate any errors. We're going to generate on Independence Day here so you know it's legit. And we have a successful build. So we're going to run from bottom up. So here is a menu. I think it's past 10 builds, at least last time I was on CloudPebble. I'm pretty sure it's last 10 builds are displayed here. You can download the Pebble bundle and install it directly to your watch, or you can look at the build log if you're interested in that. This is going to be handy for checking out errors, but you don't have to worry about that again. So here on our last build, it just shows the size of the app. We're not going to have to stress about this right now because our apps are going to be fairly small to start with, but Pebble is limited in resources, and this has been a problem for some developers because as they expand their apps, they find that they don't have enough space for all of the stuff that they want to add. And here, this is where it gets fun. So we have the emulator and we have our phone. So we're going to start with the emulator. So to install on the emulator, which simulates a real Pebble, you just click one of these platforms. And to go over it again, AppLight is black and white original watches, Basalt is Pebble Time Steel, and Chalk is Pebble Time Round. They're going to add more emulators as they become available. But for now, we're going to click Basalt just because it's right in the middle. It boots up the emulator for you, and you see you have the buttons all ready, so you can actually click these buttons once the solving climate change is done, and once they're done hurting all the cats, it will run our app on the emulator. Here we go, so installed successfully. We're just going to dismiss this. So here's our app. Of course, this is a minimal template, so don't be worried when you see this blank screen that is completely correct. We can actually see the emulator working here just by clicking a few buttons. Up and down will bring us through our timeline. And that is the beauty of the emulator. You do not have to leave this screen. You can do everything right inside of CloudPebble. It is all good to go. You can also just see Chalk if you're interested in that. So you've got the round emulator, so you can test your apps on a bigger screen, on a round screen specifically. And while that sets up, let's click the phone tab. So on our phone tab here, we have our install and run button. Okay, there we go. So we have our install and run button, which if you have the developer connection enabled on your phone, then you will be able to install the app directly to your phone, in theory without having to unlock it. But I've personally had a lot of issues. I've usually had to unlock it and keep the Pebble app open. I'm using an iPhone. On Android, it's pretty seamless, I found, when I used to have a Nexus 6. So I'm not going to run through this because I don't have a watch connected right now to my phone. But it is basically the same as the emulator. You install and run, it goes through the process, puts it on your watch, and then View App Logs will log any messages that are coming out of your watch to your computer here. That will be covered in a later tutorial on how to app log. And Screenshot will simply take a screenshot of your watch. So we can actually do that here on the emulator. So we'll go back to the screen just so you know we have something. And we're not going to click that, we're going to click Screenshot. Take a screenshot, there you go. You have your beautiful screenshot. You can save that to your computer and use it for your App Store profile, whatever you'd like. Send it to a friend, family member, nemesis. And that is basically the main interface of CloudPebble, aside from autocomplete and source files, which we're going to deal with later on. But now what we're going to do is run through the process of getting GitHub set up. So you may have noticed when you hovered over GitHub here that it says we can be enabled in user settings, and that's exactly what we were looking at earlier that I said we'd come back to. Well, now we're coming back to it. So let's go to settings, and before we click this magical button, we're going to have a GitHub account. So I'm going to set this up in a new tab because I'm already logged in. Okay, so we're going to go to github.com. All right. And if you already have a GitHub account, that's great. You can ignore this step for now. You can link your GitHub account and just fast forward the video a little bit. For new users, we're going to click the sign up button on the top right here. And we're going to run through this form again. So we're going to call this, whatever, test tutorial account. Let's see, we're going to run through. Same password. We're just going to create an account. And so here, this is your plan. So unlimited public repositories just means that you can upload your code to GitHub, but everyone will be able to see it. You cannot hide your code. If you want to hide your code, you're going to have to look into something called GitLab or another service. GitLab allows you to have unlimited free private repositories. I love this for Lignite. We upload all of our stuff to GitLab. But for now, we're just going to use GitHub because that's integrated with CloudPebble. If you want private repositories, all you have to do is just pay $7 a month. In Canadian, that's about $9. And it gives you your billing. So if you want to set that up, go ahead. But for now, we're just going to do unlimited public repositories. And this organization checkbox, this is just asking you to, like, if you want to set up an organization. So let's say you're setting up, I don't know, a Lignite organization. Then you would set it up and you'd be able to add members to it and you'd all contribute to repositories that go towards that organization. We're not going to worry about this. Individual accounts are good. Click continue. Step 3, this is just a little survey I guess they've added. So for now, we'll say totally new to programming. We plan to use GitHub for other tutorial video. And I would describe myself as a professional. No, I'm going to go with hobbyist for now. Of course, fill in the survey as you'd like. Put in your interests and stuff. Let's see. I'm digging waffles right now. I do like Objective-C. That's a good language. Like fresh memes, actually. Yeah, I'm down with tutorials, I think. And we'll just submit those for now. Okay, so now you are all set up with your GitHub account. It seems that it already has a profile photo set for me. I'm a little spooked by that, but okay, regardless, you shouldn't have a profile photo here. It should just be a funky colored thing. Okay, so now we have Git set up. We are going to go back to our CloudPebble page. We're going to click link your GitHub account, and it should start to run us through the process. So this is asking for a verified email address. So all you have to do is run through. I'm going to do this now and cut to when my email address is verified. Now our email address is verified. We're going to go back. Okay, we're going to link the GitHub account. So CloudPebble is just asking for permission to access your account. So all this is asking as of recording this tutorial is everything listed here. We're going to click authorize because I trust CloudPebble. You might have a few trust issues with websites. And of course, what is a tutorial video if we don't run into an error? So we are going to go back a couple tabs here. We are going to go back to our project. Let's click settings. And we will try that one more time. Okay, now we are all set up. You are linked with GitHub, and we can go back to our project, set up tutorial, GitHub, and you can see that we can access the GitHub tab now. So, GitHub repo, this is where your code is actually going to go. So people will be able to go to this URL and see your repository, see all of your code that you have posted. The branch, if you want to look into what a branch is, feel free. For now, we're going to stick with master. Keep it simple. Pull changes. So if you're pushing changes to your repository, if you're making changes from another source other than CloudPebble, and you want to take those changes and apply them to your CloudPebble project, right now it automatically has it set as manually, and you will be able to only pull those manually. But if you want it to automatically detect when changes are made and pull those and apply them to your GitHub project, you can change that to automatically. For now, you don't have to worry about it. Just set it to manually unless you know what you're doing. After pulling, you can make it build the project automatically, but we're just going to leave it to do nothing for now. We'll save those changes. Oh, my bad. So we're actually going to type in our GitHub repo, so github.com/test tutorial account. And we're going to type in, I don't know, what should we name this? Setup tutorial. Okay, we're going to click save. It's going to ask us to set up this repository. If you already have one, it will just click save and nothing will happen here. Our description. I've sort of first Pebble tutorial. Okay, we're going to click create. It's going to set up the repository for us. And now if we actually refresh our GitHub page, you can actually see that now in our repositories we have the setup tutorial. There's nothing inside of it except a README. And we're going to go back to CloudPebble. We're going to click push new comment. So what this does is takes all of the code, all of the resources you have here, and all the back end sort of stuff, not back end, but the behind the scenes settings here, and it's going to push it and upload it to this repository. So we're going to name this first comment. And we are going to click commit. made new comment successfully. We're going to refresh the page, and hopefully, yes, we have our code here. So now you can go to this website, this URL, and you can see that I have made this repository. You can see the code inside of it, nothing exciting at all, but it works. That is GitHub integration. And I will just show you one more time what exactly is going on here. So if we make a change to this file, let's just add a comment. I'm going to add, hey tutorial watchers. And we're going to save that. I'm going to click GitHub. We're going to push new comment. Hello world. We're going to commit that. We're going to refresh. Okay, and there is our second comment. So you can see it's sort of interesting here. We have initial comment right here, which is from when our repository was created. We have first comment here and hello world here. So how is this, not in sync? So what is actually going on here is that GitHub compares the changes that you've made through comments. So you can click hello world and you can see here that I have added this line, I've added this line and added here. And it will also show you lines that you've changed or removed. You can go through all the files. It even shows resources that are changed. It's pretty sweet. So you should be all familiar with CloudPebble. Feel free to run through this video a couple more times if you're uncomfortable with anything. For now, we're going to click sign out. And that is the end. Hey, you made it through the setup video. Nice job. Thanks for watching and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.